Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I feel like I haven't filmed one of these in a very long time. I did try to film a wrap up that included 3 months, so it was September, October and November. I tried doing that like 2 or 3 times, and then as soon as I started editing it, I didn't like it, so I scrapped it. So we don't have a wrap up for those months, but this year I'm going to be trying to do better with my wrap ups. Even if I've read 3 books, I'm going to still do one. I read 7 books in December and it was actually kind of a good month. I will also be showing what I'm going to be reading in January, aka this month, because it is now 2023. So I'll show those books at the end. I have dropped these multiple times. First book that I read in December is The Will of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. So this book is about a girl named Vanessa, and she's an assistant for a very famous football player named Adam Graves. He's very grumpy, he doesn't really like anyone, and so Vanessa is very fed up with Aiden's behavior towards her, and she decides to quit. Like, she's done for with him. She's done a lot of things for him. She's not just the assistant, she's like the nanny of the freaking house, or the housekeeper. About I think a week or 2 weeks later, I don't really know the time frame of how long she had quit, Aiden decides to show up at her door and wants her to come back. He wants her to have her job again. This book is very slow burn, I will say. They don't get together until like there. I rated this book 4 stars. I started reading the physical copy of this book, but because it was so long, it felt very intimidating for me to read at the time, even though the words are actually pretty big. I decided to listen to the audiobook, and I think that also affects my reading. For 4 stars, I loved Vanessa. I love her so much. Like, she is a queen. But Aiden in this book, the way he treated her at the start, I was like, absolutely not. But then as soon as he shows up at her door, it's kind of like a switch, and he's like, I want you back, please, like, I never hated you and all that, and he starts to be kind to her when she comes back, and I'm like, do you have a switch or something? Because what? Like, I don't know. It's just, he went from grumpy to only being a little bit grumpy when she came back, and is actually appreciating her at that time. I'm like, anyways, not from Look of Love, The Will of Winnipeg, 4 stars. Next book that I read is on my Kindle. I should probably get my Kindle out. I was originally going to buy the first book and maybe the rest of the series, even though they're freaking expensive, but I saw it was on Kindle Unlimited and I decided to buy it, and then I got a good deal for doing the audiobook as well. So the second book that I read for the month is An Heir Comes to Rise by Chloe C. I forgot the last name. It's not on here anymore. This book, honestly, I could not tell you what it's really about that much because I DNF'd this book. I don't remember the characters' names. This book is about a girl named Faith, and she lives in this village. I think it's set in like the 1800s. Like, that's kind of like the vibe that I got. And she's this mortal girl, you know, like trying to like survive where she lives, when she meets a guard. I was supposed to say White Walkers, but that's freaking Game of Thrones. She meets a guard and he is a night walker fae, and she finds out that she has these abilities that he also has, and that's basically all I got. I DNF'd this book 30% in. The writing style was very bland. This book was more tell than showing, which really annoyed me, and it basically had no plot. This was very Throne of Glass, and I absolutely love Throne of Glass. That doesn't compare to this book, because this book was like a copy and paste but change the writing and the characters kind of thing. I'm pretty sure Faith was supposed to be inspired by Aelin. I did not see that at all. She felt very bland. The guy Nick, I felt it was supposed to be Rowan, but he was too sunshine and rainbows, and I did not like that. I feel like now I'm not used to guy love interest being so sunshine and rainbows. Like, I'm used to seeing them grumpy and kind of hating the world. I hate everyone except you kind of thing, and that was the complete opposite. Nothing happens at all, so I DNF'd it, and then I started reading, I think, the 80% mark, because I wanted to see if really anything changes, and nothing didn't change until like the 92%. I could have literally read up to 30%, or just like read a bit of the start, gone all the way to the end, and it's like I wouldn't have really missed anything. I wanted to like the book. Yeah, that is that. Next book that I read for the month is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. Why is it taking me 2 years to get to this book? I read the first book 2 years ago in 2020, I think November, December, around that time. I have a date on my TikTok of when I got it because I posted about it when I first started TikTok 2 years ago. I got the Throne of Glass book, which is the book that actually got me back into reading, that started this whole freaking addiction, in 2020 on the 16th of the 12th. And that's where my addiction to books started. But yes, I started that then, and then I read Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire in 2021, and then I didn't pick up those books until last month. I tried picking up Assassin's Blade last year in December, but I just couldn't get into it because it was from her past, and I felt like it just didn't feel right to be reading it then. And then I decided to pick this book up instead of reading the Assassin's Blade. Was that a good idea? Probably not, because there are characters in the Assassin's Blade that are in this book, and I was a bit confused. I can't say too much about this book without spoiling the other books, so you know, you have to read the other books to like understand this one. But I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It did take me a while to get into because I hadn't read fantasy for an extremely long time. I felt a bit more harder to get back into, but I did miss these characters so freaking much, and I am so happy that I got back into the series because my addiction to the series has come alive again. It's worse than before, I promise you. It is so much worse. I loved so many of these characters in this book. Kale was okay. He was like the only character I didn't really like. Manon, I started to like her. Heir of Fire, I was a little bit iffy about her, but I love her in this book. And it was really great to see, God, I need his name. I'm gonna call him Toothless. It's because he's literally toothless in this book, and I absolutely love that dragon with my whole entire heart. Abraxos, right? This shouldn't be a wrap-up video. This should be me butchering names. It'll probably be a little while, but I want to get the whole series done this year. That is that book. 5 out of 5 stars. Next book that I read, I'm not going to say too much about because I do have a reading vlog on it, and so all my thoughts and opinions are in that video. I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. As you can tell, I did annotate this book. It's not like heavily annotated, it's just kind of like, it's annotated. I rated this book 3.5 stars. I loved the writing in this book. It is so poetic and amazing. It's just, Addie did not change at all in the 300 years that she has lived, and you would expect in 300 years you would change even a little bit. She did not change at all, and Luke made me very uncomfortable. I did not like that. I can see why people do love this book, but I'm more of a heavy based fantasy reader because I love seeing so much of the magic, the powers, the world building and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna say 3 stars for this book. Next book that I read, I'm still currently annotating. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I read The Deal by Al Kennedy. This is a reread. This is my baby, my cinnamon apple. This book is about a girl named Hannah Wells, and she is one of the few that passed this exam thing. What's it called? She passed like an exam test thing that, you know, you get from like your teachers and that, and majority of the class actually failed that, including one of the males in this, Garrett Graham. He sees that Hannah had actually passed the test with basically flying colors and tries to convince her to tutor him so that he can pass in order to be able to stay in hockey because his grades need to be up in order for him to play hockey. But we've also got a little deal going on between them. Hannah will tutor Garrett in order for him to, you know, be able to pass, and he'll fake date her in order for her to make a guy that she likes at her college, or at their college, whatever, like her back. Because she has this major crush on him. He's on the football team and she thinks he's different. He's so different, guys. Like, Justin is different. My opinion about this book hasn't changed, even though I think now, because I've read so many different like romance books, some of the stuff in this book, like the way that they say things is cheesy, but I still love it nonetheless. If you haven't read this series and you like hockey romances, please go read this. It is absolutely amazing. Next book that I read for the month is Good Girl Bad Blood. This is the second book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. This book takes place right after A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and what happened at the end of that. So obviously you will need to read the first book in order to be able to understand this book, and obviously probably the third book, I don't know about the third book, I haven't read it, but you definitely do need to read these in order. So after all the events that happened in the first book, one of Pip's friends, Connor, his brother, had gone missing. It's a very common thing for him to just run away, but for him not to be answering phone calls, text messages going unresponded and not actually sending, it's a little suspicious. And so he thinks that his brother has gone missing and he wants Pip's help. Pip also has a murder mystery podcast that she does herself, which is honestly pretty cool. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Holly Jackson has done it again. I love her writing style, and the way that this is just set out is so well done, and I just love it. It's so good. The last book that I've read, I'm not finished, but I will get this finished tonight, and I did put it as my 2022 reading stuff on Goodreads, and so it's counted that into my reading goal from last year, so it's going in here. Okay, you won't see it for my January wrap up, but I am reading, I guess, The Assassin's Blade. I am also tabbing it. This is the one from the box set. Look how floppy. Look how floppy it is. I am enjoying it a lot. I am about halfway through, and I will hopefully get this finished tonight. All I can really say about this book is this focuses on Selena's past and what happened to her, and just a lot of characters that do end up popping back up in the series later on. I kind of regret not reading this earlier, but it is kind of nice reading it now because I'm more in the mood than when I was trying to read it before. Okay, that is all the books that I have read in December. Now to get into the books that I want to read in January. I'm not going to say a synopsis for these books because I will be doing that for my wrap up for this month. So the books that I want to read on my Kindle is Anastasia, A Dawn of Onyx, and I think it's Sweet Heartbreak. I'm very excited to read them. I'm pretty sure Anastasia is a fantasy kind of thing. It is an Anastasia retelling, so if you don't know the story or you haven't watched the movie, go watch it. It is great. I love the music and the way that everything is set out. It's so great. A Dawn of Onyx I saw on TikTok, and the cover is absolutely stunning. It just came out in December, so it is very, very new. It is a fantasy book. It has romance in it. The author actually posted the tropes for the book, and I'm just like, immediately yes. So it's on Kindle Unlimited as well. So is the other 2 books. Anastasia and Sweet Heartbreak are Kindle Unlimited. They're all Kindle Unlimited, so if you want to read those books, you can read them on Kindle Unlimited. Sweet Heartbreak, I did see some small scene aesthetic things on TikTok, and I was like, immediately put it onto my TBR that is completely endless. Those are all the books that I want to read on my Kindle. Now let's go to the physical books. First book we're going to start off with is Unravel Me by, is it Tahira Murphy? This is the second book in the Shadow Me series. I've not seen one person that has hated this series, and that's really saying something. Everyone says that it gets so much better in the second book and that the third book is absolutely amazing, so I will try and read this one. But I don't like these shiny covers. I need to get like the full box set so they all actually line up and match together. Next one that I'm going to read is actually a romance. It's a sport romance, but it is Wrecked by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Dirty Air series. I have read, obviously, Throttled and Collided. This is Elena and Jax. This is supposed to be a heartbreaking book, and I'm not ready for that. I think that's why I'm putting off third and the fourth book, because they're both I think this one's supposed to be like the most sad, and I'm just like, do I want to deal with that? Probably not. I love Lauren Asher. I trust her with my whole entire heart, and her writing is just amazing. I love her books so much. We're gonna see how this one goes. Next book that I want to read is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the Villains duology. I've had this book or duology on my TBR for such a long time, and I finally bought it, and I'm now hopefully going to get to it this month. I don't like the feel of the cover, but then the second book is matte. I don't get why they're 2 different texture covers. I know nothing about this book, so I'm excited. I think there's romance in this, I'm not sure. Next book that I'm going to read is a reread, and that is Dance of Thieves. I read this a year and a half ago. At the time, I was a little like, but I did enjoy the characters. I did like the plot of the book, so that was really enjoyable. I think I just need to go back and reread and see if anything's changed. I'm really hoping that I love this more the second time round. Next book that I'm going to read is Every Summer After by Colleen Colleen. Carly Fortune. You're probably wondering, why are you reading this? It's not summer. Well, there's a country called Australia and it is summer. And I want to be able to read this before summer is over. It's a nice short read as well, so I am excited about that. Next book I'm going to read is a book that I've seen nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. I got this on my holidays. I think the video before this, you'll see it. I'm honestly excited because I've seen it nowhere and I'll be able to give my full opinion without people hating on me, I guess. But it is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanna Rendell. This is the first book in the System Divine series. I did order the next 2 books because honestly I was pretty excited, and this book has had such high ratings. I looked on Goodreads when I was buying it and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And I was like, I'll read this book and then if I like it, I'll get the rest. I already bought the rest. They're on their way. It's okay though because they were gift cards, so I'm not using my real money. Yeah, I'm excited and I hope I can put my honest review on this book, and I'm really hoping that I like this because I got the next 2 books. Next book I'm going to read is Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the last book in the Addicted series. 7th book if you add them all together. Yes, this is the 7th book if you add the Addicted / Callaway Sister series. I've been procrastinating this whole entire series, so I've not really read much of them all together. I don't want Lilo to be over. Like, I know I'll still see them in the last 3 books, but their story is going to be over and I don't want to, so I might procrastinate even more. The next book I'm going to read is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I'm annotating it and I have not read this in 2 years, so I would love to go back to the book that got me into reading. So that would be absolutely amazing to go back and see these beautiful characters again. It was such a great book when I read it and I can't wait to go back. Next book that I'm going to read is a reread for the Eden series, and that is Juniper Hill. This is my favorite book in the series so far. I'm going back to this book because I finally have the physical copy and I want to annotate it. I read that on my Kindle as well as the other 2 books, Indigo Ridge and Garnet Flats. I love this one so freaking much. I literally thought that this wasn't filming when I was going through my books for my TBR, but it was until like Juniper Hill, which was great because I finished talking about that and then it stopped. Thank God. The last book that I have on my TBR is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. Ignore the face, we don't talk about the face. I really want the discreet covers because they're so much nicer and they are absolutely gorgeous. I don't need a man on the freaking front. This book is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series, which is a mafia series, and I did try picking up this book. I read like the first chapter and then I forgot about it, so we're gonna try and read it this month. I might actually read it on my Kindle instead because I don't want to be walking around the house with this. I know there's like an arranged marriage between 2 mafia families and that the girl, I forgot her name, Ada, apparently she's like a bad bitch, and I'm so excited to be able to read a mafia romance, hopefully if I get to it this month, because I have not read a mafia romance yet, so I'm excited to read about it. That is it on my TBR and for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell so you know every time that I upload, and that is basically it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.